your piano background, if they gave you any ear training. I do a little bit of ear training, not too much. I'm going to tune you up real quick just because I'm pretty fast at it. I like the wood. It's a cool looking wood. So something that also happens with a guitar is, unlike a piano, you get something called sympathetic resonance. So sometimes when you pluck a string, it starts to get the other strings to ring out too.
Yeah.
So when you're tuning, try to make sure that you block the other strings. Otherwise, your tuner might pick up the frequencies of the other strings.
Okay.
Something you may or may not know.
I did not know.
Sympathetic resonance. So, like for example, if I pluck this E string, this one is vibrating, which is fine because those are both E's. But it's also gonna vibrate the B, which is a fifth. So they work. You know, the harmonic structure, anything that harmonizes to an E is also going to start shaking too.
Okay.
A piano has a dampener. Everything's
Yeah.
muffled, so you don't have to worry about that. But
Yeah.
just something to,
Yeah.
little trivia. So already right
Yeah.
out of the gate, you're learning about sympathetic resonance.
All right.
Whatever. Is that going to be useful? Probably not.
Okay.
All right, we have these 8 chords here.
Yeah.
Quintessential for learning guitar. Can you play all 8 of them?
All right. And so I've always been using the pick. I haven't
Please.
really.
I
so
love
is
the
that
pick.
all right?
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm a pick user.
All right. So sometimes, I will say on a G,
Yep.
I guess I've seen it done
Both are-
with 3 fingers or this way. It kind of
Yep.
depends on what you're setting up for, I guess, right?
That would be the good course of action, yeah. Kind of depends on what you're going for. Now, the difference between this G and that G is just simply something called the voicing. Now, you may know this, but chords are known as triads, 3 notes, right?
Yeah.
And the difference between this G and that G is something called the voicing. You have an extra fifth in this version. In this one, you have an extra third.
Okay.
That's the only difference. But on a foundational level, it's still just 1, 3, and 5. It's still just G, B, and D.
Okay.
Whether you play it like this or not. But yeah, I think a more straightforward concern is what you're setting up for. So you got C. Good job.
And then a D.
Perfect. Good technique too.
I guess, is that E major?
That would be E major, so that would be here. Let's try
E minor, is that?
Correct.
Okay.
So what I do is I play E minor like this, so I don't confuse my hand.
So you got your index.
Yeah, pointer in the
Okay.
middle. Yeah. That way I don't confuse my hand, because if I do it like this, I might get tempted to press down. So I avoid that by playing E minor and then E. You're not
Okay.
wrong, but my suggestion is to maybe train yourself to play E minor like this.
Okay. And then is that A?
That would be A7.
Alright, so then this.
It's getting closer.
Is that A?
It's closer. It's still an A7. If you bring that's an A minor 7.
Okay.
So if you put these fingers here, you now have an A minor.
Ah,
It's a new chord.
I think I just didn't remember it right.
Okay.
Well, that didn't make any sense the way I had it, of
Yeah.
course. Yeah.
So that's an A minor.
Alright.
D minor might throw a wrench in the gears.
I do not know what a D minor
Okay, we'll come back to that. You played E major earlier, and then I think you're going for A just now, right?
Is that A?
That's A7, so you're very close. This would be A. All in a row.
Oh, all 3.
Do you remember that?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
I
You can
guess
play that however you
can
want.
do that any old way it
That's
works,
one of the
right?
things about the guitar is it doesn't matter what fingers you're really using,
Yeah.
you know, as long as it's comfortable to you, especially with these open chords. Good, that's an A. Good job.
Okay.
So let's address D minor. D minor doesn't get used very often, but it is one of your foundational shapes. So start off with the D. The difference between a major and a minor. You stay where you're at. This is E. This is E minor. This is A. This is A minor. Only one thing is changing about each of these chords. This moves back one. I'm going from E major to E minor.
Okay.
Hold on. I'm playing A. I'm moving this back 1 fret from A major to A minor. Okay? With D, you're taking this thing way on the highest part of your string, and you're going to move that back because you're at D and you want D minor. So let's convert it to your hand. We're going to be
Okay.
moving this back 1 fret. some way, somehow. You might have to juggle your fingers around, but the difference between D and D minor is just like all the other differences. It's just one fret.
So
yes, you're
it's
getting
going to
closer,
be more like.
but everything else still needs to be right where it's at.
All right, wait a
Only
second.
one moving part. Yeah, it's a tongue twister for your fingers.
Yeah, it is.
So replace your pointer finger with your middle finger. Replace your pointer finger with your middle finger.
Okay.
Yep, that frees up your pointer finger to go into that missing location,
Yeah.
which is right here, and we still want to keep our ring finger there. This is a D minor. Perfect. Good technique. That's a D minor. You should
Alright.
hear it.
I gotta
Sounds serious.
get
D
my
minor.
Head wrapped around that.
So
but
this is what I might suggest. Whenever you're learning a new chord, whatever that is, in this case, let's just say it's D minor. Some of the other ones you're still having some trouble recalling, but you got it eventually. We want to do D minor. So my suggestion to you is what I call the home chord exercise. Starting off at D minor, you're going to go to and from every single chord, back and forth to D minor. So for example, if I just use this as my sequence,
yeah.
I'm going to go D minor to G, back to D minor.
All right.
Then I'm going to do C, back to D minor. Then I'm going to go D, back to D minor. And again, I'm just doing all the chords in order, just so that I get that ingrained in my head.
Yeah.
Yep. So this is a
Okay.
dry way of doing it. If you simply learned a song that had D minor in it, you would also learn D minor that way. But this is the gymnasium style of learning guitar. You just sit there, okay, D minor, G, D minor, C, D minor, D, D minor, E minor, D minor, A minor, D minor, so on and so forth. You're just going to and from every single chord. Because on a long enough timeline, if you played every single song under the sun, you would eventually encounter every scenario of D minor going to and from every other chord on a long enough
Yeah.
timeline. So this is kind of simulating that
Okay.
in a dry context, unfortunately, but it will, by the time you do one lap of that, you'll be a lot better at D minor, and it'll start to get ingrained
Yeah.
in your head.
Okay.
Yeah. So this is what I call the home chord exercise. Usually it's pretty effective to be implemented when you're learning a brand new chord. So you have almost every single open chord except D minor. D minor is the new one. You have that, and you have all the basic open chords. Your 8 foundational open chords. D minor it is. Okay, now something else I teach is the significance of these first 3 dots. Do you know the name of this note right here? It's okay if you don't.
No.
Okay, so this is something I wish somebody had taught me, because then it revealed a whole lot of stuff.
If I think about it long enough, I kind of remember how this is. I'll think about the piano. And
Yeah,
I'll go,
there you
this
go.
Is
This
a
is
half
step, yeah.
Is that each one of these is a half step?
Correct.
Is that right?
Yeah, so
Okay.
this is what's known as a chromatic instrument. So is a piano, but the piano isn't visually chromatic.
Yeah.
This is visually chromatic. Everything is half steps. On a piano, you have the black keys offset,
Yeah, yeah,
so
yeah.
it caters to the key of C. But yeah, if you think of that whole, half, whatever, and you go, okay, that's an E, and a half step up from E is an F, and you're imagining your piano, and that will help you.
Uh-huh.
But you're going to want to commit these first 3 dots to absolute memory.
So this is a G.
That's a G. So the first dot is a G. You don't know what else? That's where you start a G chord.
Yeah.
That's your lowest note.
Right.
So your root note is that dot right there. That is a G. So we want to commit that to memory. This will pay itself back in dividends, possibly even tonight. So that note right there, all by itself, is a G. Okay. So we want to learn that this first dot is a G. Boom. So use your pointer finger. Just your pointer finger. Yep, G. We move over to here. In the musical alphabet, the next note available higher than a G resets to
A.
A. So the next dot, with your pointer finger, all pointer
Keep
finger.
using that.
Yep. That's an A. So we want to memorize that the second dot is an A.
Okay.
By the way, this is also how you can tune your instrument. If this is an A and your A string is available, it should sound exactly the same. A conundrum that you never face on the piano. On average, you can play a note 2.7 different locations on the guitar. Piano, you can't do that. There's only
Yeah.
one
Yeah.
of those A's.
All right. Cool.
Okay. Anyway, so that note right there is an A. Then we move on to the next dot, and this is the final dot that we go to. The musical alphabet. You can refer back to the piano, but we want to memorize that this is a B. So you have G, A, B, first 3 dots. That's what the significance of those dots are. so that we can get to know the anatomy of our neck. So let's
Okay.
drill it real quick. With your pointer finger, play an A. Yep, pluck. Okay, good. Play a G. Play a B. A. B. G. A. G. Good, easy enough, right?
Yeah.
Think you can handle the next string? Let's see.
All right.
So we're going to do the same 3 dots, but now on the A string.
Okay.
And this is the extent of note memorization, basically. We're going to be using these first 3 dots on these 2 strings 90% of the time, as far as like notes are concerned. If you want to go out of your way and learn every single note on the neck of your guitar, don't let me stop you. But is it going to be imperative to recreationally learning the instrument? No, it's not. However, if you plan on reading sheet music with the guitar, which I don't suggest because of that 2.7 note conundrum,
Yeah.
you know, where do you play it? It gets dicey pretty quick. Just learn those first 3 dots. Okay, so if we go to that first dot right there, we have a chord that we know that presses that location. What chord do we know presses that? Is it G? No. Is it A minor? No. What chord do you know presses that location? Try putting your ring finger right there and see what your hand does. What chord do you know?
C.
C! That note is a C, which is also the lowest note. By the way, this is a 5-stringed chord. You technically don't want to involve that E, so that would be a C/E. By the way, what we do as guitar players is we use our thumb to touch it, to block it, when we're playing a C chord. I don't know if this is... Usually I save this technique for later, but take a listen to the difference. You ever wonder how a guitar player is like strumming like that and not really conscientious of what strings they're touching? Because again, if I had this included, I don't know if you can hear the difference, but here it is without it. This is a pure C. This is a C with an E in the bass. There's a difference. So I'm just touching the string. I'm not trying to pluck a note. I'm just touching it to block it. So this kind of contorts the hand a little bit. But then you're free to strum any of the strings.
What do you mean by block it? I mean, if you still, it'll...
But it doesn't do that. The difference between or that. So right there, you're getting a pitch out of it. You just want a ghost note. It still makes a sound, but it's not a pitch. So let me check it for you. So what you want to do is with your thumb, just muffle the string. Yeah, go ahead. Perfect. That kills the string, and you don't have to like, hey, I better only strum those 5 strings. You can hit all 6, and it's not going to affect the integrity of your chord. Now, formal instruction will always tell you you must keep the thumb behind the neck, and you would avoid playing that string. But if you're interested in Neil Young and Jack Johnson, I'm not stopping myself short from hitting that 6th string. I'm hitting it,
Gotcha.
but you're not getting that sound. So this is already something that you can do to upgrade all your open chords.
Yeah.
D is technically a 4-stringed chord.
Yeah.
Well, should you... Yeah, this is the tight wire. I can only hit those 4 strings. This is hard, but as soon as I employ my thumb, I can hit all 6, and I'm free to just hit the instrument. Now, hitting 2 strings with your thumb is kind of hard. So if you just block at least that string, it's good. Technically, this is a D/A, and A is in the bass, but it sounds better than. Can you hear the difference? That shouldn't sound too good. If you can block 4 strings, the 2 strings, that's even better. It's hard to do though.
Yeah.
So this is something that if you want to work on later on the back end, feel free to do so. This will allow you just to strum and not be too worried about hitting the wrong strings because you're covered. In fact,
big difference.
at high level guitar playing, that's everything that's happening. So like if I'm playing something way up here, my palm is blocking these strings from ringing out. We have to use our body as like dampeners on a piano. So when I'm here, my fingers are blocking the rest of the strings so that they're not. I'm strumming like a lot of strings here, but I'm only getting one note because I'm blocking things with this. If not,
Okay.
again, this is really advanced stuff. Right now, with just your basic chords, the thumb is just something to be like,
Yeah.
okay,
Right.
cool.
Okay. I didn't know that.
All right, back to the three dots.
All right.
So we have
this is a
C.
C.
Yep. And then if we move on to the next dot, we have the next letter in the alphabet, which is
D.
D is correct. By the way, this is how you can tune your guitar on the next string, because this is a D, and that should be a D. Unison again. This is how sometimes people tune their guitar like. They're trying to match the pitches of the strings. Anyway, just some trivia again. That's a D. You move on to the next dot, and you have E.
E.
Yep. So these become the locations that you want to memorize. In fact, after you leave today, I'm going to send you a picture that's going to look like this to remind you to remember these. You can look up on the TV so you don't have to strain over this thing. To remind you, my first dot is a G, A and B, and then on the next string we have C, D, and E. It's with that you have almost every single letter in the musical alphabet. You're only missing F, but the savvy piano in you goes, this is an F.
Mm-hmm.
So with that you have every note under the sun. You don't need to memorize anything else, unless you want to. So you technically have every single note, but you want to commit it to memory. If somebody says play D, you want to go boom, D, like that. If somebody says play A, you want to do that. C, E, B, D, G, F. You just want to be able to go there.
Yeah.
Similar to like on a piano, you know where C is. Boom, it's right by those two black keys.
Yeah.
You want the same kind of reflexology with these first three dots in conjunction with F.
Gotcha. Okay.
Multiple reasons. If somebody says play an A scale, I go to A and I go scale. Play an E scale, I go to E and I go play a C scale. Or play a C dominant 9. C
Yeah.
dominant 9. Or play an E dominant 9. E dominant 9. So I'm still using this, even at crazier levels.
Okay.
So again, this is one of those things that I wish somebody said, this is really important. You don't need to memorize the whole neck, because that's intimidating. If somebody said, nah, you just need to learn 1 octave worth of notes on these 2 strings and you're good. Because this is basically the region in which we operate for chords.
Yeah.
It's just these first 3 dots. We don't really go any further up on the neck for chords. Again, I'm trying to use what you know from a piano, is that we don't have to worry about being too muddy with bass frequencies, but we do need to be a little bit conscientious of being too shrill. So oftentimes you're not playing chords up here, and you're not playing chords down here. You're playing chords right around here, and your melodies around here, and so on and so forth. If you do stuff down there, it's an octave.
Yeah.
And then it usually extends into a chord, and so that's why we have a bass guitar. Doom, 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 doom. So they're playing the octave below us to support us.
Okay.
Anyway, just something to be aware of. Trying to use what you know to help. Now, understanding sharps and flats, which from your piano background, you should probably know. So with that being said, you truly have every single note under the sun, because if you need to go flat, we go this direction on our neck.
Yeah.
If you need to go sharp, you go this direction on your neck. So if you have these dots memorized, and you need to play a D sharp.
Let me think about what you just said. So let's say a C sharp. I'm going to go which way?
Sharp would go this way because you're making the string smaller.
So that's my C.
Yep.
C sharp.
Good. C sharp. Now you're at D, one of your dots.
Yeah.
And then if you need to play D sharp, that's D sharp. At the same exact time, D sharp is also E flat.
Yeah.
So that's all you need. You don't need to memorize the spaces in between.
Yeah.
In my opinion, it actually is a waste of time. If you learn the non-accidentals, which that's what these all are, and just know what a sharp and a flat does to it, you're money.
Yeah.
So then if you have to play a C sharp dominant 9, C sharp dominant 9.
Okay.
It's all right there.
All right.
So first 3 dots, really important on those 2 strings, and that's it.
Yeah. Okay.
Then there's ways to, if you have to like name a note here, you can work your way back and go, hey, I know that that's a D and that's an octave away, so that's a D too. So, but we'll cross that bridge when we get there.
Yeah.
Okay. So
Okay.
first 3 dots, really important. And you have sharps and flats.
Yeah.
Let's recap your D minor chord. I'll show it to you first, just so you see it. D minor.
All right. I want to think about it from
Yep, start from D.
what a D is.
Yes. That will help you remember.
So that's my D.
Yep. And you're gonna move
And
one
I
component
gotta
back.
get over here.
Yep, yep.
And it's.
Everything else still needs to stay where it's at, though.
Yeah.
Yep, you got it. Yep, good. And your finger technique is really good. I heard that ring finger blocked, and you fixed it.
Yeah.
So this is important because I have students that haven't gotten past that, you know, and it's tough. So you understand the direct pressure of your fingers needing to be. It's like ballerina toes.
Yeah.
Yeah, just straight in.
This one feels funny, but
But it's
they
'cause
all
it's new.
do after a while.
Yeah.
Or they quit feeling funny after a while, but this one does feel funny. There's
Um,
something about this finger.
Yeah, it's either the ring or the pinky that people seem to have trouble with.
Yeah.
These 3 fingers are fine, but it's your 2 lesser of the fingers that give people trouble. Okay, anyway, did your former teacher start teaching you scales of any sort, like a major scale? Can you play a major scale?
You know, we did start, and I completely never practiced it.
Yeah, that's the case with scales, schnales.
But I don't mind doing it. I want to do it. I want to learn.
There's
just
a
like
light
it.
at the end of the tunnel with it.
Yeah.
I don't force people who aren't resonant with scales. Some
Yeah.
guys are like, yeah, okay, I'll learn all the scales, and then they can go all the way up and down the neck, and they're having fun with that. Some are
Yeah.
like, I just don't want to do chords.
Yeah, I
But-
don't mind doing it a bit. I forgot to.
Okay,
I
so
quit practicing that for some reason.
basically, when we're working on a guitar, we have 4 fingers. So we basically take the guitar in 4 fret chunks, and we apply each fret a finger, or a finger per fret, whatever. So what I'm going to teach you is the major scale fingering. So what we're going to do, we're going to play a G major scale, which means we're going to start on G. Hey, you know G. It's right there. So we're going to start on G, and we're actually going to start with our middle finger. So go ahead and get yourself primed. Middle finger in G. So what that means is we're going to be operating in this region.
Okay.
Again, we have 4 fingers. Your middle finger would always be on whatever is the regional 2nd fret, whatever. So your pointer finger would live on that fret for each string. It's not
Okay.
being used on this string though. Your ring will be living on this, and your pinky
Yeah.
will be living on that. Sometimes the precursor that I do for scales is this, just to get your fingers working. But nobody's gonna pay to listen to you doing this, so it's really not that beneficial. But it does get your fingers used to staying in their fret location. Now again, I have a couple students who play piano and their fingers work pretty quickly, so I'm assuming this is going to be the case with you as well. Anyway, so rather than telling you frets, I'm going to tell you fingers. So we're going to start with our middle, and then our pinky. Our pinky is the next note. We can also know this as a whole step. 1, 2, and then we're going to do pointer on the next string because we don't have another available finger, and we need to rise through the pitches. So middle and pinky, pointer on the next string. And again, our pointer lives there. Yep. Middle. Yep. Pinky. So let's stop and recap so we don't forget. We got middle, pinky, pointer, middle, pinky. Yep. Middle. Yep. And then pinky. So try that again. Middle, pinky, pointer, middle, pinky. Good. Now, again, we've run out of fingers. Pointer on the next string. It's like a typewriter. Yep. Pointer, ring, for the first and last time, and then pinky. That is your scale. Pinky, yep, middle, ooh, middle, pointer, pinky, middle, middle. Yeah, it's kind of awkward. It's like typewriting, where you gotta like train your fingers not to use your dominant fingers.
Yeah.
Middle, pinky, pointer, middle, pinky, pointer, ring, pinky. Good. Yep. So I'm also going to send you a picture that looks like this to help remind you to play your major scale. Middle, pinky, pointer, ring, pinky.
Yeah, I remember. I don't know why I quit doing it because I can't help but because of the piano. I'm gonna keep picturing that keyboard for better or for worse. But it helps me. I remember going. It started. It drilled into my brain the half step and the whole step business in the sharps and flats. So I like doing this and remembering which chords have sharps, which chords have flats.
So it's again, they're so different instruments, and even the way that they're taught, it's so different. But yeah, to me, it's okay. You have a whole, half, whole, half.
Yeah.
Every piano player knows that. To me, you know what I think? This is what I think. These are intervals. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And you know what I tell myself? 3 and 4 and 7 and 8 are side by side. Everything else is not. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, pinky.
Oh.
I gotta tell you both at the same time. Pointer is 3. Yeah, 1, 2. Pointer is 3. Middle is 4. 3 and 4 are side by side. 5 is with your pinky. 6 is with your pointer. 7 is with your ring. And 7 and 8 are side by side.
Yeah. Okay.
So this is actually the whole half is the same thing as saying 3 and 4 and 7 and 8 are side by side. 1 to 2 is a whole. 2 to 3 is a whole. 3 to 4 is a half. So to me, I make it simple for myself in understanding it is that 3 and 4 and 7 and 8 are side by side. Everything else is 2 frets apart or a whole step, whatever. So this is actually...
So that rule applies all the time?
100%. Because this is a chromatic instrument, wherever you start.
That's a better way to remember.
It is.
3 and
for
4,
this
7
instrument.
and 8.
For this instrument.
Great.
So with that being said, you can play this anywhere you want, especially if you go horizontally. How do we go horizontally? Well, 1, 2, 3, 4 has to be there. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So try that. You're going to be skipping 2 frets each time. Just use your pointer fingers, fine.
Okay.
1, 2, 3. Oh, not 2 and 3. It's 3 and 4. 1, 2, not 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah. Ooh, one more. Yeah, 5, 4, 3. Yeah, there you go. Easy.
Cool.
And if that was in G, you weren't conscientious of you playing an F sharp, were you?
Mm-mm.
No, because it's not a piano. This is a chromatic instrument. So if you started here, which is an A, you don't need to be conscientious of what sharps are flat. You just go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
All right. Cool.
So this is the wisdom with this instrument. Now, you alluded to finding the key of a song. Like, how does that work? Doing things by ear. Well, the entry-level way of doing this for me is actually how this horizontal thing works. Okay, wherever you start, that's your key. Wherever you start. So if you start here at G and you go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, you're in G. Everything is G. They might not all be the G note, but it belongs to the key of G.
Yeah.
If you start here at A sharp and you went 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. You are playing an A sharp, and you don't need to be conscientious of what sharps are flat. Actually, I don't think A sharp's a key. I think it's technically B flat. Whatever, technicality. Now, that's a very unergonomic way of playing it, but it at least lays it out visually. So let's assess that. I'm going to show you what I meant by possibly I can teach you how to do this already. So I have a visual for this. Obviously very important if I have a visual for it, right? Okay. So if you take a look, it's exactly what I told you. 7 and 8. 8 and 1 are the same thing, by the way, in music, if you didn't know that already. Used interchangeably as your octave.
Okay.
Right? Do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti. Do, do, do. They're the same.
Yeah.
So 7 and 8, or 1. Side by side. 3 and 4. Side by side. 7 and 8. 3 and 4. On and on and on until you can no longer hear it. That's how something being in the key works.
Okay.
Alright. So what that means is if you play this note, it's going to sound terrible. It's going to sound out of key. Okay? So for an example, let me show you. I'm going to have a song playing in the key of G, which means if I start here at G, by the way, the high E string and the low E string are the same exact thing, so this first dot is a G, just like how that's a G, right? Because they're both the same string. These are both A's. Yep. So I'm going to have something playing in the key of G for a second here. G backing track. So we already know that this track is in G major. Okay, cool. So if I go like this, all those notes will sound great. If I do it in any order, those will all sound nice, right? But what happens if I land right here? That should sound out of place.
Yeah.
Just like how this should sound out of place. Or that shouldn't sound like I'm participating in this conversation. We're having two separate conversations right now. Now I'm back. So if a note sounds out of place, that means it's not in the key.
Yeah.
So anytime you have a note that sounds bad, you're not playing the right thing. So this actually becomes like our tool. It's kind of like an audio word puzzle, crossword, or like Sudoku or Minesweeper. It's like a little puzzle game. So for example, if I take a song, I have to put a karaoke version, otherwise YouTube flags it in case you're planning on watching this again. Let's see. Okay, whatever, Sweet Caroline. I don't already have the key memorized. I think I do, but for all intents and purposes, let's say I don't even have a clue. Sometimes the song will tell you what key it's in, and that would defeat the purpose. Okay, we have music. And if it doesn't sound bad, that's because everything belongs to a key. Every instrument is participating in this conversation. Okay? So, let's just pick this note right here and see if it fits or not, where I started last time. How's that sound? You can try bad. It sounds bad. So what that means is that you're playing one of these blank spots. Before we move on, look at every blank spot. Look at what's adjacent to a blank spot. On both sides of a blank spot, you have a number. You have a note in the key. So what that means is that note and that note will work if that first one we played sounded terrible, which we think it does. So that means that's going to be right and that's going to be right. As we hear it, do you hear that? How does that sound?
Good.
So if that works, hold on. If that works, that means this has to be bad.
Yep.
So play it just to make sure. Yeah, it's out. Good. So right now you have these three notes. If we pause right now, you know what these could be? These notes. It could be 1, 2, and 3. You know what it can't be? It can't be 2, 3, and 4. Why?
Because they're bad.
No.
They're in the wrong key. Well, sorry. Can't be
again,
2, 3, and 4.
It can't be 2, 3, and 4 because I have nothing side by side. So this could be
This
could be 1, 2, and 3. It could be 4, 5, and 6, right? 4, 5, 6. It could also be 5, 6, and 7. Too much numbers to keep running, but we know for a fact it can't be 3 and 4 and it can't be 7 and 8.
Right.
That's the only point I'm trying to make. So when we're doing this, what we want to hunt down is we want to hunt down where there's pairs, because one of those pairs is going to be the key. We want to find the 7 and 8 pair. Okay, that fits, and that fits as well. What about the next fret?
Gotta be here.
How does that sound? Sounds good, right?
Yeah.
If you go one more fret up, it's going to sound bad if that's right. Yeah. So if we pause for a second here, we have a pair. This is important because we need to find both pairs.
Yeah.
Once you find both pairs,
Sorry about that.
no worries.
Let's see who's looking at me. Okay.
So the point I'm trying to make is you can even do this on a piano, is that once you find where those two half-step distances are touching each other, from there you can triangulate. Because, and I'll continue to explain once we get there. So that could be, this could be 3 and 4, or it could be 7 and 8. Don't know yet. We gotta find the other pair. So if we keep going, that's gonna fit. Yep. And yep. And then you have your pair. You have one of your pairs. Keep moving up. How's that sound? Sounds good, right? If you're unsure, play the adjacent note. Okay, good. You fixed it. So your ear's already developed. Okay, keep going. We want to find the other pair. Play it. Just play it. Use your ear. How's that sound?
It's all right.
Yeah, and if you're unsure, if you play the next one, that should sound bad, reinforcing. So you have two pairs. You have a pair here, and I think a pair right here. These are your two pairs. There's a beginning of a pair, right? And then you have your next, next pair right there. So these two pairs, what you do is you cross-reference them.
Yeah.
They both can't be 3 and 4. They both can't be 7 and 8. They have to be one or the other, and the numbers have to match up. So if we pretended that this was 3 and 4, go here and go 3, 4.
Yeah.
Go. So 3, 4, 5, 6. Well, 7 would have to be there, right? Right? 7 would have to be there if this is 3 and 4. But as we know, it's not. Does that make sense? So again, we pretended that this was 3 and 4, and when we cross-referenced it, it didn't fit.
Oh, okay.
So that means this has to be the other alternative. That means this has to be 7 and 8.
Oh, okay.
So if this is 7, 8, which is 1, and you go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Ta-da! You found the key of the song, which is right here, right? That was your pair. 7. Go there. 7, 8. Boom. That's your key. By the way, G, A. What's the name of that note? G, A.
B.
B. You're playing, this song is in the key of B. This is the beginning stages. Because then once you're able to find the key, once you're armed with the right tools, you can then find out, well, what chords belong to it. And you won't think about it like a piano player, where you go, okay, these are sharps and this and that. You would just go, okay, this is in the key of B. So I'm just doing this all by ear right now. Not trying to show off, but because now I know what key it's in, I know what, and I don't have this memorized. I have it geographically memorized, which is how we work on guitar. But because this is in the key of B, you could put your middle finger here and go, right? I showed you that earlier.
Okay.
So what you can do from that is have that note available, but it'd be there.
And what are you just...
I'm playing the scale and I'm trying to guess what it is, because that's what a scale is. It's basically giving you your palette of colors.
Yeah.
So what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to go hands. So you see how it's selecting 4 hands?
So if you don't go horizontally and you just you're always going to go. You're going to use.
You're going to use that little scale. Yeah, in 4 fret
scale.
chunks. In 4 fret chunks.
Okay. All right. That's
and you
fine.
don't need to be conscientious of what's sharp or flat.
Right.
Because it's the same thing.
Which I love. I'm glad you don't.
And that's because it's the way this thing is laid out.
Yeah.
The thing about a piano, it's very visual because you can see it. You can see the half steps. You can see the whole steps. This you can't see anything.
Yeah.
But imagine, if you will, the piano. All the black keys got snuck in with all the white keys too, and there was no difference between them.
Yeah.
You would have to be more conscientious of, those spacings.
I need to text this
Yeah, no problem.
woman before she thinks I'm standing her up.
Yeah, no
I
problem.
don't want that to happen.
No. So this is the beginning stages of figuring stuff out with your ear.
Okay.
And it becomes pretty fun.
I like that.
because
That's good.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
usually
I
I'd
love knowing that.
because then you can hop on the
3, 4,
piano.
7, 8.
You can hop on the piano and hunt for notes and go, oh, that fits. And then you can climb up from it by half steps and whole steps, basically. And then once you find the 2 half step connections, from there you can determine what key you're in if you cross-reference them.
Yeah.
So if you decide to enroll, this is something else that I plan on, continuing with or whatever. So you're playing in the key of G right now. So if you continued that in any way, shape, or form, you would eventually get all your scale shapes and all your patterns. So that is the same as this. Middle, pinky, pointer. Yep, middle, pinky, pointer, middle, pinky, which is 5, pointer, which is 6, ring, which is 7, and then 7 follows 8, and then look where I am. We're playing the same thing. It's just yours is a lot more literally at your fingertips. So this is akin to me, it's like typing, where once your fingers know where to go, you can spell out words like, so on and so forth.
I gotta wrap my head around that for a while.
It's like I said, yeah, because again, on a piano, if you have that background, there's only one G like this, but on a guitar, there might be as many as 3. In fact, if I take this note, whatever note this is, which is a G, A, B, it's a C. I have 5 of the same exact C on the guitar. Yikes. Anyway.
Alright.
Information overload.
Yes.
Okay, so we went over D minor, sharps and flats, and G major scale. That's it for today.
Alright.
Yep.